Joining me in studio right now, State Representative John Frullo, seeking re-election in HD 84. And welcome back to the show, Representative Frullo. How are you?
Thank you, Chad. Thanks for the invitation, and doing quite well.
Good. The campaign is off and running, and we've got early voting less than a month away from now, which it's hard to believe that it's already almost here as far as early voting goes. How's the campaign been going for you?
It's going great. Out there visiting with a lot of folks, meeting with them. They're happy with the job I've done, happy with what I've been able to do, the effectiveness. Having that chairman behind my name has really helped get things done for this area. Proud of a lot of the different bills I've passed, written, authored, and some of the things that we've been able to do as far as save the county money, help Texas Tech. They've got some great plans going on there. And so it's right now it's all working out quite well.
That's good. That's good. What if reelected? What are some of your top, I guess, agenda items, your top goals in Austin?
Well, of course, one of the items I've worked on from the start when I passed that bill, the Alicia's Law, and authored that and passed that and gave law enforcement additional tools to go after these child predators and internet predators. And every session since then, I've authored more bills and worked on that to help law enforcement go after what I think is the sickest part of our society. And it's one of those things that we don't like to talk about, but it's also something that we've made some great strides in working with other states. So that's pretty exciting. Of course, being chairman of House Insurance, and to put that in perspective for your listeners, the insurance market in Texas is the 10th largest insurance market in the world. If we were our own market, we would be number 10. It's also the biggest code section of the law that we have. It's one of the areas where the state actually has quite a bit of regulation. And so we've got some issues coming up there. We did some great things last session to help out agents, help out the insurance market, and make it easier and I think less costly to buy insurance, easier to comply with the laws. We reduced fees for all kinds of, as well as insurance agents, but architects, engineers, accountants. So that's something. I'm real proud of the budget that we did last time. I think it was the most transparent budget we've ever had. We increased it a little bit because Texas is growing. I've said this on your show before, the good, the bad, and the ugly about Texas, just like the movie is. The good is people are moving here. The bad is people are moving here. And the ugly is the federal government. And so what we're doing is, we had a budget that was $209 billion. It grew from the prior biennium by less than the increase in population and the cost of living. We did that we were able to pass on to our taxpayers nearly $4 billion worth of tax savings through property taxes. And the first step, I think, in trying to we reduced, but now try and get rid of ultimately the franchise tax. And we did that also while leaving $11 billion in our rainy day account and left roughly $3 billion unspent. So we've been dang conservative. We're I think the envy of every other state in this country. I visit with other legislators around the country, and they're just amazed at what we're able to do. And, we're still working with the falling price of oil. We're monitoring that, working on that. But the good thing is we're not the economy that we were in the 1980s. Things have changed. We've got more business out there. Texas, as I said earlier, is a place where people are moving. In the 3 sessions I've been there, we've had anywhere on average from 850 to 1,200 people a day moving here. They want to move here because we've got great opportunities. We've got that stable regulatory environment. We got a great climate. And I guess today we saw that one of the best places to drive by Safeco. So, it's nice. And anybody that's been in Austin for any length of time is saying that the I-35 is not really an interstate. It's a parking lot.
Yeah. Visiting with State Representative John Frullo, seeking re-election, HD 84. I think some will put this as this race as experience versus making a change in this race. You brought up the falling price of oil, and I think that with that's going to be a major issue going into the next legislative session. What would you say your experience brings to the table as far as dealing with a budget that now has to deal with oil not being around the same price and maybe the state not bringing in as much money, not nearly as much money as it once did?
Right. Going back to my experience, having been there and being able to get things done, work with people. And that's important for our area because we need the power out here. We don't have the numbers like a Houston. If you go west of I-35, we have less state reps than just the city of Houston. You know, it's amazing by quite a bit. And so we need people that have a proven, effective record of getting things done. And I've got that record. I've got the ability to work with people. So that's how I plan on getting it done, using my experience, having worked as a CPA for a number of years, auditing state governments. That's what I did for a large part of my career in public accounting. And so I understand how that works. And with oil, it's pretty dynamic. As I said, we have changed the way we operate in this state. And so oil is still very important, and we'll have to work on that. And, of course, that's where a lot of the rainy day funds come from. We've got money going into transportation. It's one of the things that we did, and I think this is a great conservative thing that we and the voters did, was we put nearly, somewhere over $4 billion, expected to be $4 billion into the transportation without raising taxes. So we're building that infrastructure that the additional load is requiring. But using that background and making sure that we can see how it works. Right now I'm working with the comptroller. We're putting together some numbers to see what is going to happen, because even though the severance tax, oil tax, that type of tax is going down, we have other things that are going up. People are spending that money on sales tax. They're buying additional items. And so there is some offset there. Overall, we'll have to look at that. We're monitoring that.
We're going to take the break. When we come back, we have a lot more to get into. With State Representative John Frullo, including the criticisms that have been thrown his way from opponents. We'll get into that and a lot of other issues as well. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO. In studio with me right now, seeking re-election in HD 84, State Representative John Frullo. And Representative Frullo, this has been an interesting campaign already. You have a former lawmaker who has recently, I guess, fairly recently, within the last couple of years, moved into Lubbock and running against you. One of the main challenges to you from him has been your record. He says that it's just not conservative enough. He uses some numbers that say that, I believe out of Rice University, that say you're the 12th most, and I'm trying to get this right, liberal Republican lawmaker in Austin. How would you respond to those attacks from him?
Well, first off, I want to talk to you, address your characterization of him as being a lawmaker. You said a lawmaker. Lawmaker implies you have the ability to author a bill, pass it through the House, have a Senate sponsor, have them pass it through the Senate, get it to the governor where it could either be signed or become law. In his first session, he didn't do that. I did it several times. I've done it, I don't know how many bills I've actually authored, passed through the House and Senate with my name on it, and got them to the governor and either signed or become law. And I think that's an important differentiation between the two of us. I have a record of getting things done. Now, as far as these scales, you have to look at what they're doing. The Rice University, it's used to judge deviation. A separation from you and the party. If you actually look at his numbers, I am of the Rice University schedule, I'm with 86% of the Republican Party is closer to me than they are to the furthest outliers in that deal. So it says, where's the party focus? We look at what we've done. I've talked to you about the things that we've accomplished, the tax savings, the budget, the reduction of regulations, all those good things that we have done as a state. And so I say, people are happy with that. As I mentioned, they're moving here. They're happy with what we've done. So you have to look at those things. For example, the governor just came out that he doesn't want investments in Iran. Well, not this session, but the session before, there was a vote on that. A few of the Republican legislators voted against that. They said it's okay to go ahead and have a investment in Iran. Well, that makes them an outlier, and it actually in his scale, Mark Jones's scale, it says they are more conservative than those that said, no, we don't want that investment. That doesn't make sense. It defies logic. That whole scale there, the Rice University study shows deviation from the party, from the norm, and deviation between the Republicans and Democrats, and is used to compare that to the Washington level. So if you get in the numbers, you actually see what actually makes sense. What makes sense is what helps people here. Me saving them an estimated $12 million at our new county jail was a big savings. I did that by putting in some working on an amendment, putting it in place, getting support so that we could be grandfathered and not have to have face-to-face visitation. And I'm kind of cutting a lot of information out. But at the end of the day, that first year I saved an estimated $4 million to taxpayers on what I think is about a $25 million budget, and then $4 million a year after that. So that's being an effective legislator, not working on trying to get a scorecard. And if you think all these little organizations out there that do scorecards don't have some kind of hidden purpose that they have, you're crazy. You look at it, some of their votes, they'll take the second vote and not the third vote, the second reading vote, not the third reading vote. Other times they'll take the third reading vote, not the second. They pick and choose. It's kind of like you go in some cases, you take the test in a classroom back when we were in high school, college. You take the test, and at the end of the semester, the teacher picks which questions he or she wants to grade rather than taking the whole test. So you look at different things, you look at what they're doing. At the end of the day, is that person doing what you want them to do? Not what does somebody out of Austin or somebody out of Houston say they think they're doing. And I think that people overall are happy with the things that I've been able to do, the accomplishments I've been able to do, the things I've been able to work on, and just a common sense approach that I take.
The Texas Tribune labeled this race as one of the races to watch in Texas, and it goes back to the speaker's race as well. You've been criticized by your opponent and by his supporters, including Representative Jonathan Stickland, who called into the show and criticized you for this, supporting Joe Straus. Do you regret voting and supporting for Joe's? Do you regret voting for and supporting Joe Straus? And are those who say that Joe Straus is too liberal, are they wrong?
Well, I think the vote for Joe Straus was a good vote. It was a strong vote. It was the right vote. And, it was also something that was going to happen. He got elected by a majority of the Republicans. He had enough Republicans vote for him last session. It's the first vote we take that he got in there just on pure Republican votes. And then again, look at those accomplishments. A balanced budget, the last three sessions, the tax reductions we've done, the regulation, the envy of the rest of the country. No, I think we're doing a lot of great things. As Governor Abbott said last time, he said this was the most conservative legislative session in the history of Texas. Look at the laws that we've done for pro-life, the things that we have done there. Every place you look at the gun laws that we've passed. We have the strongest Second Amendment rights that we've ever had. That came under the leadership of the big three. That would be Abbott, Lieutenant Patrick, and Speaker Straus. And so we're doing the right things, and people overall are happy with us. It's the folks that have an agenda to grind that are out there against this.
Do you ever hear, because I wonder how much this actually plays to the voters, the speakership battle. How often do you really hear from citizens about who the speaker is, criticism of the speaker? How often do you hear about that?
Very rarely, and most people don't even know who the speaker is.
Right.
I mean, it's unfortunate. We see these questions where they ask them who's the president, and they even miss that. Who's the vice president? But a lot of the people, it's just not a high-profile race. It's not like the lieutenant governor or the governor race. The speaker is chosen by the House of Representatives. 150 members in there have a chance to vote, and that's how they vote. And so people really don't know who the speaker is.
One more issue that has been brought up in this race was your vote on SB 19. In my previous interview with your opponent, he said that this vote even would have required churches to file with the Ethics Commission to list who their donors are, to list everything about them. What is your response to the attacks on you voting for SB 19? And do you look back on it and say, that was a bad vote, or do you think that was the right vote at the time?
You know, SB 19 had to do with the dark money, the influence in there. And if you want to see a train wreck as far as dark money, go back and research the AG's race in Utah that ended up electing the Attorney General Swallow, and then he ended up resigning from office. And it's just a big mess. At the end of the day, if people look at dark money, it's easy. It's transparency. Even Justice Scalia has said that we should not do anything to infringe on the rights of the First Amendment, but people need to know where that's coming from. And I'll put it in an easy way. If you look at a particular position that's being taken on a bill, and somebody's out there influencing you, giving you ideas, is it important to you to know whether that influence is coming from an organization that has people like Adolf Hitler in it, or if it has people like Mother Teresa? And that's what we're saying. We want to know who is influencing these elections. And it's kind of gotten out of control, and there's just a lot of bad information being put out on that.
Right now, the governor has called for a convention of states. Where do you stand on that issue?
I'm for it. Matter of fact, I voted for that last session on several different items. Paul Workman had a resolution for that. I voted for that. I'm for it. We've got to take back control that the government, the federal government, has taken from us. Again, getting back to that good, bad, and ugly. Ugly is a federal government, their EPA, their organizations. We've got to stop that, and this is the way we can do it because Congress is not doing it, and the president hasn't. In
the last 40 seconds or so, we're going to have you back on, of course, before the election, before early voting starts. But tell voters what they need to hear from you.
Well, I want to tell the voters that I've been humbled, and it's been an honor to serve them. And I think, from all reports, they're pretty happy with the job I've done, my effectiveness. And go to johnfrullo.com, John, John Frullo, FRULLO.com to find out more about me. And we'll go from there. I look forward to visiting.
All right, State Representative John Frullo. We'll visit with you again before early voting begins.
Thank you.